Today in class, we learned about the Abolitionists.
We watched a clip from a movie.
A free state around me, and the free earth under my feet.
It comes to life with the film. And then after that, we got into groups to discuss what we thought about the film.
In the movie, he said slaves know little of their age as horses know of theirs. That really stood out to me.
This film really aligns with our efforts to align our entire curriculum to the Common Core standards.
The reenactments were interesting.
There's a real focus on complex informational text. And we like to think about film as text. So we want students thinking about what were the decisions that these authors essentially made as they built this text, even though it happens to be in the medium of film or television.
The actors, they don't know what would happen in the future, but then you got to hear the historians who knew what did happen, and that was cool.
Video or other media are really powerful in the classroom as a learning tool, but then they need to have an opportunity to sort of think about it, to talk about it, to write about it immediately afterwards, so that they can solidify that learning and really pull out the salient points from the film. So in preparation for today, students read some of the one-page biographies and informational texts around both Frederick Douglass and William Lloyd Garrison, and then had a culminating writing assignment in preparation for seeing a clip of the film that highlights those two individuals in particular.
And then we got into groups where we were photographic organizers, answering questions about things we thought about Frederick Douglass and his life and his struggle.
The film, The Abolitionists, it really got the kids to think about what is abolitionism, what is patriotism, what is civil rights, and how do they all connect.
And we were able to discuss it. Would you guys consider going back to help free the other slaves?
I think I would have stayed there.
Don't you think that's kind of selfish?
If I lived through what Douglas lived through, you know, all the pain and stuff, I wouldn't want to go back there at all because it was a scary time.
How do you guys think that, like, him being a fugitive and being, like, free and not enslaved impacted him?
Him going back, that really impacted a lot in the movement, because it showed that people should take a stand and they shouldn't be so scared, you know.
If he didn't come back to America to help those people, then history might not have been the same. There might be, like, you know, slavery still existing.
I think it's really important to hear what everyone has to say, because I think that we have a different vision of history, and I think that's really important to look at.
It shouldn't all just be about reading a textbook. It should be about learning every side of the story and connecting with the history.
We just want to expose kids to a series of lenses and let them think for themselves.
We're really learning different ways to think about history.
So the follow-up from this experience today will be students will look a little more deeply at Angelina Grimke and also the threads of the feminist movement that sort of are related to the abolitionist movement.
So what I want you to do now is to answer questions 1, 2, and 3 on page 32 of your notebooks.
We learned about the abolitionists some more. We watched a quick video.
Angelina Grimke lived in almost unimaginable luxury.
And we answered 3 do now questions.
Let's actually get a little discussion going.
How is the abolitionism in the documentary different than the abolitionism from later in her life? I said that abolitionism was slightly different in the documentary because it also includes the religious and personal aspects of those abolitionists.
I agree, but I see a difference.
No, I thought her motives became really different, especially when she moved to the North, because she saw that they didn't really care about what was going on in the South, and I think she felt like, if you're not willing to fight now for these people, then are you willing to fight for women, or are you willing to fight for other rights and other people, you know?
So in my class, we use a lot of the student-led discussions.
As the student leader, I lead the discussion and I ask the questions. I like to ask people their opinions and kind of add mine in to see who agrees and who disagrees. So why don't we start with question 7? Alan?
Is it fair to call the abolitionist movement the first civil rights movement of our nation? Why or why not? I think it is the first civil rights movement because it was the first time that people were coming to start changing our nation.
I don't think that is the first civil rights movement. I think that the first one was the independence.
What do you mean by independence?
I'm trying to say that the colonies, they felt that they weren't getting their rights from England, so they cut ties with them. and formed a nation that did have rights for them. I'm saying that that was the first civil rights.
When you really are thinking about what you're reading and discussing and having a conversation, you can think better, you are a better analytical thinker, you're a better writer, you provide more detail.
We see this as an opportunity for students to both learn about African American history, learn a little bit about digital learning, but also to hone the kinds of skills that they really need to be college and career ready.
Do you guys think that people our age can be as powerful as the abolitionists?
People aren't really going to listen to us because even if we do protest and we do have good reasons, we're still kids.
But people might have also seen slaves that way, saying that they weren't as intelligent, they weren't able to make decisions like that, but they still fought and they still got freedom, right?
There's an example of it that go on already. Like the Little Rock Nine that show us they have as much power as everyone else.
When Mr. Fitzgerald started the class, he made sure to say, listen, we're going to look at history in a different way. And he explained it's okay to, disagree with the textbook, it's okay to disagree with me even, and it's okay to disagree with each other. But he said, as long as you're respectful.
It teaches us to question history, to question what happened, and to have opinions. I'm just asking, how come you don't think it is?
Because we have challenges, they had challenges, and we both have to overcome the challenges to fight for what we believe.
It's really fun to hear those discussions and the reasoning for people's opinions.
We need a thinking curriculum for thinking students.